I have the worst habit of leaving my mic muted. Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Dope Sessions. Woo! Eventually, I'm gonna go ahead and get this audience and press the button instead of being the audience myself. I'm so glad that you are here tonight with us. I have the intro is so dope. It has to be my favorite part. Shout out to my best friend Vejan Hill. King Vay produced that for me. Thank you, friend. Um, I am so excited to be here with my guest. My guest is none other than this person. You feel like you know people for a long time, and you feel like they've been very supportive. A lot of your, like a day one type person. That is definitely this person, and not even just in graphics or in business, but in music as well. And I'm so excited to have discussion with him today, Mr. Brand expert, graphic designer, singer, husband, father, veteran, friend, Clinton Gorham. Woo! Take it off mute.
What's going on?
Doing good. Clinton, how are you?
I'm doing good. I had a busy weekend, but I spent the whole day pretty much relaxing, so I feel good right now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's good. So, Clinton, I do not waste any time. Please do me a favor and tell us how to follow you or how to
Okay, you
contact you.
guys, I'm on Instagram. Yeah. Okay, cool. Let's see. Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. They're all the same. Clinton Gorham. I got a website, clintongorham.com as well. So yeah, it's pretty easy.
And that is called good branding, okay? He-
Consistency.
Oh, Mrs. said he fine too, okay? Acknowledge, okay?
Ooh.
Mom in Love says Son in Love is another title. That's right. And I've heard about you. He loves his mom. He loves his mom in love. So yes.
Yeah,
I'm yes.
absolutely.
Um he says you big time. Well, hopefully this is a big time platform eventually. For now we just on my Facebook.
Oh no,
But
it is. Oh no,
oh
it is. You are big time.
oh in Jesus' name. Amen. So Clinton, I usually kind of start with getting to know how you got started and
Okay.
what you do. I think I want to hear everything because you like I said you do multiple things. So start us first with
Okay.
graphics, then with music.
Okay. Okay, cool. Interesting story with the graphic design because I kind of fell into it. I feel like most creatives, we kind of fall into graphic design. It's never something that we're seeking out or is sought out, sought after. I had just got out of the military and I got a job really quick because I was transitioning into college and I didn't know what I wanted to do just yet. So I was working at this job, and mind you, this job had me working in their garage. It was in the summertime. I got out in June, and it was an admin position. So I was supposed to have been doing a lot of administrative work. And but I noticed that the work was creative. So the lady had me doing flyers and little whatever postcards, editing stuff on her website, and I didn't know at the time what it was. And she mentioned to me, I said, I really like doing this work. I said, more so than the admin work, I really like doing the creating of the stuff. And at that time, I was using Microsoft Picture It. And
Yeah.
she said, well, you the job title is actually a graphic artist, and that employer actually is my mother-in-law. She wasn't my mother-in-law at the time. But yeah, it was my first job right out of the military. I was working in her garage, and she was paying me as I was going to school. And I kind of fell into that. Like I said, I was just doing admin work, and I started doing the graphic design work. I was like, man, I'm really good at this. Granted, I've been drawing, painting, all this kind of stuff ever since I was little. So it's not
Hmm.
something that I've been artistic my whole entire life. Just graphic design didn't come until maybe I was 21, and yeah, I ended up going to college right after that, deciding, hey, I'm gonna make this a career. So yeah, that's how that started for me.
Indeed. Indeed. Let me tell you, your work preceded itself long before I met you. I knew who Clinton Gorham was, and I won't say the word idolized, but I really did. I loved. I was a fan. A few people that I am glad to know now. I was fans of their work long before I met them, and Clinton is absolutely one of them. I remember having a
Thank you
conversation
so
with my
much.
friend, saying, "Oh my gosh, he's just so great," and you just definitely like even now. I'm like, "Oh my gosh." There was something you just did
I appreciate that
for
so much.
fulfillment. Oh my lord! I'm like,
Hmm.
you make the simple things look extreme. Like I'm gonna say it like money, okay? Like big money. so
Thank you so much.
so
Yeah,
I
yeah. Thank you so much.
yeah, best artist in these streets. I agree. The second one is me. Okay, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Uh,
Yes.
uh, Mom Love says she loves you. She's so proud of your God given talent and expertise, and that's awesome. So now tell
Yeah.
us a little about the music side.
Well, now music is a little different. I always tell people, man, if I didn't, well, I would say, let me just say this. I feel like both careers chose me. I'm just gonna say that, but music chose me very early, very, very early. Um, my mom said I was singing ever since I was like 3 years old. Um,
Oh,
just remembering lyrics, able to, remember actual who is singing the songs and all that kind of stuff. I didn't know at the time how much I would fall in love with it because the love for the actual art of music came a little later, maybe my teenage years. But the love of singing and stuff, definitely 3 years old. I don't want to say I came from my family full of singing or musicians, but if anybody's been around my family, then you know everybody in my family can sing. So I don't have a
mm-hmm.
lot of, guitarists in my family, a lot of people that play any type of instrument. But if you've been around my family, then you know we are still a musical family. So anytime we got together after we ate and had a good time, we're going to sing. And
Yeah,
so those chops were built early. And plus, I grew up in church, and so that gift was kind of trained in the church. So um, yeah, I would
yeah,
say those are the early years, and I got my first opportunity to do studio work. I had to have been 16 years old. I did some studio work with Dorothy Norwood, and I kind of licked my chops a little bit. Said, "Oh, I can do this. I can do this." And so it was one of the motivating factors in me leaving North Carolina because I grew up and was raised in North Carolina, and I said I got to get to a place where I can pursue music. I just didn't feel like in the sticks of North Carolina, I could pursue uh, music as a career. So I had to leave, and that's the reason. That was one of the motivating reasons to come into California. So
yeah. Indeed. Wifey says, "Sir, your family be saying them Gorms don't play." Okay, I believe it. I believe it. I believe it. And you're from North Carolina, right?
I am from North Carolina, yes, from the
Oh yeah,
sticks, Walstenburg.
yeah. Shout out North Carolina. We out here. Yeah. So I absolutely I absolutely believe y'all can sing. I was telling my friend, my family's from Texas. We're a singing family too. I'm not
Okay.
from Texas, but my
Yep.
family, right? I was like, everybody in Texas can sing. So I
And I
definitely
mean
believe
sing.
like stupid saying, like the mama, the
Yeah.
cousins, everybody. If the dog could
Yep.
sing, okay, it's like so. I definitely know understand that. So now though, you are. Um, Tell us how in San Diego, because you do sing with Eddie Baltrip in Fulfillment, our choir,
Yes, I do.
and,
Yes,
and
our choir.
yes, forever. Okay, let me tell you first. Okay, now I got to tell you the story. Clinton, well, there was auditions. Clinton referred me to Eddie. Eddie, and I did the audition and got on, of course, but I never got to perform. I only got to go to rehearsals. My uncle had passed away, and then I moved, and I've never even been back to San Diego since. But it's still my choir, okay? At any given moment,
Well,
I will
hold
miss
up.
the
You
fulfillment.
leaving out a big part. You leaving out a huge part. You guys, one rehearsal, she came, and then Uncle Ed gave her the mic or something and told her to lead some song. And I looked back, I said, who does she think she is singing like this? Like, what is this?
Yeah, I mean, I loved it. I loved it. I loved how it was received. Everyone is so kind. welcoming.
Yeah.
It was a wonderful experience. So that's why I said I'm forever fulfillment, even if I never got to really
Yeah,
perform for
you're
you.
always a member.
Yes.
Well, my thing is because we got members in different states, so you technically still can come sing.
Okay, I'm
You
coming
should have
for
been with
real.
us when we went to Hollywood the other week. I'm all you should have been there with us. Those are
Y'all
types
put
of
me
gigs
back
you
in the
need to
group
be
chat.
at.
Yeah, put me in the group chat. Leandro says, "Ask Clinton to let me sing backup on the next album."
Oh, Leandro
Hey
can
man.
sing. That's another singer right there.
Okay. Well, Leandro, that's between you and him. Y'all got to work out y'all negotiations, y'all contract and stuff. Y'all split. But yeah, so I
Split.
so work so so in singing with fulfillment, that's availed you to have some different
Mhm.
opportunities as well. Tell us some
Yes.
about those. Yeah.
Man, that list is really long because I've been singing with Fulfillment since 2007. So some of the names: Tremaine Hawkins, you got Dwayne Woods, you got all the Clark sisters. You got, I mean, there's so many here recently though. I think we've done so many guys. Any gospel artist that you can think of that has run through San Diego, Fulfillment is definitely has sung BGVs for them. I think for me though, the highlight of everything, something that we actually just did, man, we was at what do you call it? Unlock Hollywood, Hollywood Unlocked with Jason
Yeah.
Lee, and we were
Yes.
able to sing back up for Yolanda Adams, and I think those opportunities are amazing because you're not necessarily singing to a room full of Christians. You know, it's easy to get on stage and sing in front of people who believe like you, who think like you, but it's a little different when you singing in front of an audience where maybe half the audience they're believers, and then they're the rest of them they're not necessarily believers, or maybe they're believers and they're just not really walking a life that's acceptable to God. But either way, that the energy in that room after we sung was so high and so amazing, and I really appreciate being able, and that's not the first time Fulfillment has done that, but those kinds of opportunities are the ones that I appreciate the most with singing with Fulfillment, because I feel like we need to take the gospel and share it outside the four walls of the church. Otherwise, what are we
Absolutely.
doing?
Right. Absolutely. I actually love that you said that because it kind of segues into your personal artistry, which is not traditional gospel. You are actually a jazz artist
Yeah.
and more of that
Yes.
classic standards level jazz. And I think that that is
Yes.
exactly, it kind of speaks to the same thing, is that allows you to get out of the four walls of the church. It lets you,
Yes.
of course we love, church folks love jazz, but it allows
Absolutely.
you to share it in a different format. I've been asking lately, and I guess I'll
Yeah.
ask you this question. I've been asking lately, what is gospel music? Is it the sound or is it the words?
Okay. So funny you asking me this question, because I just had a conversation with somebody about this specific thing, and I'm of the opinion that it's the words. The words determine whether your music is gospel or not. Now, I understand there's the traditional gospel sound, and that sound has changed over the years, but for the most part, there's a traditional sound that gospel music has. Then there's Southern gospel. Then there's all these different subgenres up under the gospel veil. But me personally, I feel like gospel music it's not necessarily a sound, it's the words. But I understand when we say like gospel music, I think especially us black folks, let me just say this, we're thinking about we're thinking about the Clark sisters,
Yeah.
we're thinking about the Hawkins. We're thinking about that, where I would challenge people though. We got to remember that the gospel is the good news. So it's really the message versus the sound. So
Absolutely, clock it. It is definitely, in my opinion, it is the message versus the sound. And then this kind of segues into you. Come on, segue. So this this comes into you as in a branding expert and brand development
mhm,
specialist. I think that
mhm,
with that, understanding the sound. or the words are what makes it gospel, and the sound can vary. I think that we are getting
Right.
lost in the sauce about what we're trying to push forward. Are we pushing the
Okay.
words, or like an artist like you who is classic jazz, or you'll have me like we both sing and fulfillment, right? I'm more like neo soul,
Hmm.
more funk, if you
Right.
will. So we're two different genres technically, but we are the same in message and in branding and brand development in the industry. I feel like there's not a lot of that. I think a lot of that comes from wanting to have specific awards given. I won't list any of
Okay.
them. There are several. We all know them,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
I think there's a certain status in how in what's put on the radio, etc. I want to
Hmm.
know what you think about how to develop a brand in. I'm gonna put it in the gospel industry first. How do you
Okay.
develop a brand, or how do you stand out in this kind of crowd where you are not, because you're literally doing it yourself, you're trying to brand yourself
Hmm.
and be seen that in a way that is non-traditional. So how are you doing that, or how would you do that if you were an artist?
Okay. Well, let me first say this. I feel like there's an issue. There's an overall issue art wise, whether it's entrepreneurship, whether artists, where I feel like we now I say we loosely because I try not to, but I feel like we, especially because of social media, I feel like we focus so much on I gotta build my brand, I gotta build my brand, instead of focusing on, well, what is your sauce? What makes you different from the next person or the next singer or the next entrepreneur or the next business? We focus so much on making sure that we got to make sure that I'm being visible at different touch points in my brand, touch points, social media, your website, in person, all these. I feel like we focus so much on I got to build my brand versus working on your sauce, and your sauce is what makes you different. Because all of us, for example, we all are selling spaghetti, like you just said, we're all singing, doing the same thing. But what makes my spaghetti different from your spaghetti is the sauce and what we put into the sauce. And I feel like we got to get back to the basics of trying to uh, make ourselves unique. We can't let an audience tell us what they want us to sound like. We got to stand 10 toes down on this is what I am as an artist, and either you're going to like it or you're not going to like it. But I'm not going to compromise too much on who I am as an artist just to appease. That's why I feel like a lot of music is starting to sound the same, even in the gospel industry or whatever. The music is starting to morph into, we can't tell whether it's pop, R&B, hip hop, or nothing, because we have allowed. I say social media is a big part. We have allowed. I don't know if it's the media, but we have allowed people to tell us, no, this is what we like, so you need to give us what we like. And I
Yeah,
feel like artist like a Michael Bublé, he's still going to release the kind of music that he wants to that embodies his brand, and he's not going to compromise to appease what's happening in 2025 or what's going to happen in 2026. Of course, we need to
yeah,
stay current and relevant, but you don't have to compromise your sound, whatever that sound is. I feel like we got to get back to focusing on what makes us unique.
absolutely, absolutely. I
Yeah.
feel like even if we stand in gospel, right? I think that um the thing that has set the legends apart, and even the modern legends like a Kirk Franklin, etc., Ty Tribbett, I think these are people who understood that they are uniquely them, and they
Mhm.
did not compromise that, even if it was not popular. I feel like these people are the people that have defined sound only because they did not compromise who they were and how they presented
Absolutely.
what it was. And because again, the message is the same. I'm gonna say Jesus loves you. You're gonna say Jesus
Absolutely.
loves you, but I'm gonna say it this way, and you're gonna say it this way. But if we are, if the end goal is to fulfill the Great Commission. I think that we need to
A-
remember that everybody doesn't want to hear "Ah," like, we do.
mhm,
We love, I
absolutely.
love a good. I'm gonna love a good squall, okay? But
You
I'm
hear
gonna love
me?
it. I'm gonna love me a good drive, okay? I love that. But at the end of the day, for the most part, I'm listening to easy listening. I don't do or
Absolutely.
sometimes I'm gonna turn up with Anthem Nights. You know what I mean? It varies. And so I think that what has been done to gospel in specific and uh really any genre, but gospel in specific,
Hmm.
is we have been kind of put in this pocket of if you're saying you're talking about Jesus, you're gospel or Christian, and you don't get the chance to be Christian R&B or Christian pop or you know
Right.
what I mean. You don't get the chance
Right.
to be that.
Right.
I also
Right.
feel like if that does happen, we don't need Grammys. We don't need that stuff. We have enough award shows that can be that niche, artistry honoring thing,
Hmm.
right? So I think that once we come out of the just lumping us all as gospel and do better about defining what
Yeah.
that is, building brand is going to be
Hmm.
easier for some of these artists, I feel, because and when we say building brand, I don't mean just the imagery. I mean really how I'm seen in my space, how I present myself all the way. I feel like
Absolutely.
that would be accepted a little bit differently. So,
Yeah.
um,
I agree 100%.
yeah, yeah. So I ask this question every time I have someone in branding on, because we always gonna say what we say. It's not just the logo. Yes, you're right, but
Yeah.
what else? So, in your definition,
Yeah.
in the Gorham Agency definition, what is branding?
For me, well, branding is a lot.
Yes,
So I always break
yes,
branding down into like five different sections. And yes, logo is a part of that, but that's more of the identity part. So you're talking about the visual part, the logos, the colors, the typography, the tone, even your messaging. All of that is like the identity part of it. And then you just spoke about positioning. This is what we was kind of just talking about. Relative how we perceive our competitors and carving out our own niche, and then there's the
hmm
values, there's your principles and your beliefs, and this kind of stuff strengthens, I would say, customer loyalty, and customers, they turn your customers into what I would call advocates. And then there's the brand experience, of course, everything, uh, I guess, how they see you at different touch points. And again, I call the touch points your website, your social media, and all that kind of stuff. Then brand communication, which is more about your advertising, your social media, PR content, all that kind of stuff. So branding to me is a lot. I always say that it's a lot, you guys. But really, honestly, I can't say this enough because I run into this issue too much with entrepreneurs. Man, you guys are focusing so much on this visual part, and you guys get lost on this internet because you're not focusing on those other areas. And you got to focus on your positioning, your values, your experience, and communication. All that kind of
yes.
stuff. You have to, or you're not going to succeed. You're not going to
You're
succeed.
you're not gonna, because you're gonna get lost in the sauce. You're gonna be too busy
That's what I'm
trying,
saying.
like, look at this pretty. That's it's okay. And then what else? It's what I call pretty empty boxes.
Exactly.
It's like giving somebody a
Exactly.
present for their birthday, and it's a beautiful box with
And they
all the
open,
pretty things, and it ain't nothing in there.
there ain't
There's no
nothing in that
substance.
box. There's none. Absolute. That's what I'm saying. Focus on your you we gotta focus on us. I'm telling you right now, these artists, these singers, these musicians, these entrepreneurs, I don't care what you do. If you're not focusing on your product and what that is and what makes that situation or your service different, you're not gonna succeed. It's not gonna work.
Absolutely.
You're gonna be like a
Say it
needle in a
again.
haystack. And
If you do not
that's just
what?
what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You gotta you better focus on that sauce.
Focus on that sauce. Anna said, Lord, I got to figure out what my sauce is. Can Clinton just tell me and do it for me? He can't tell you yours specifically tonight, but how do you get to that? What is without doing too much? Because you know that's a charge, that's a fee. Okay, how
Hmm.
much? Give us a little bit of the process of defining your sauce for you. I love
You
this
asking
question.
me?
Yes,
Or how you define your sauce? Okay,
yes,
first I would definitely I would well you need to know that right off the well okay, when I say sauce, okay, so I am a singer. I'm a gospel singer, more on the smooth side, but I'm definitely a gospel singer. Well, what does make Clinton unique? Um, I tend to fall on the smooth side of things. So my music, all of my music, I don't care if it's up tempo, I don't care if it's slow or if it's worship. It's always going to be smooth. And anybody who's ever heard me sing, they're always going to say, Clinton always sounds sultry when he's singing. That's my
yes,
sauce. That's what has always made me different. Where I led a choir song, where I was leading praise and worship, whether I was doing my own music as an artist, I was always a sultry type of singer. I brought that into what I would call, you call it standard jazz. I brought that in. So if you take a Will Downing and then you take a Frank Sinatra and you put them together, that's what you're gonna get me.
yeah. A crooner.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, that you're gonna get that, and that's what it's gonna be. And it's okay. You can croon for Jesus. We're gonna croon. I'm
Croon
going
for
to croon for.
because the way I want somebody to do, I won't complain like a standard. I've had some good days. Ba-da-da.
That can
I've had some
absolutely
real.
be a standard.
Oh, beautiful. It would be
Hold
like
up. I
Frank
need to write
Sinatra
that
singing
down.
it.
No,
Yeah.
I
Or
need to write that down. I'm writing it.
the
I'm
strings and
writing it down right
the
now.
oh my gosh, that would be so beautiful. First of all, I love standards. I love Ella, all of that. That's my zhish. But
Absolutely. Yeah.
to and I feel like it would take away if there is guilt. You shouldn't have it,
Yeah.
but everybody's conviction are
Hmm.
different. That takes away that for people that want to listen and are believers. I feel like that I like I said, I love a good squall. I'm a squall it. We gonna drive it.
Hmm.
But sometimes I want to hear some good, soft,
Yep.
like easy listening. And sometimes
Kind of
it's the
in the
songs,
pocket, kind of singing.
yeah. It's sometimes it's that's the stuff that stays on your heart. Oh, geez, we'll work
Yeah.
it out
Absolutely.
all day long, right? That's because it's getting stomped into my
Hmm.
brain. But
Hmm.
sometimes easy is the thing that really penetrates the heart and the mind, and gets the message across. So
Absolutely.
everything is not there's something for everybody. And like I said, to fulfill that great
Absolutely.
commission, everybody's not going to want to listen to the same thing. So I definitely agree with you. And in finding your sauce, I think that's just like you said, the thing that you're best known for. And
Yeah.
how do you consistently exemplify that? So
Yeah, you got to say it. I feel like you have to say it. Somebody said to me one time, not it's not somebody. My good friend Brian. He said to me, "Bro, you're like a smooth tenor," and I said, that's exactly what I am." And I
yeah,
started saying that. I at everywhere on my website. I don't care where the smooth tenor. Now I've said it so much that now the people that follow me, that's what they say. They naturally say smooth. Oh, that's the smooth tenor.
yeah,
So you got to say it. You got to keep saying it. And then when you say it, you got to say it again. And then when you say it again, you got to say it again. You got to
yeah.
keep saying it. There's a
So what you're
reason why
saying
when we
is
think
there's
of Burger King,
repetition. Mm-hmm.
you got to keep saying it over and over and over again. There's a reason why when we hear "Have It Your Way," we automatically think Burger King. Burger King has driven that message into us, whether it was their commercials, whether it was when we was inside their store and you saw it written all over the marketing. And this was before social media was around. They put it in our face and they forced us to believe that we could have it our way if we went to Burger King. You got
Yeah,
to tell them people. You got to tell the people what that is. That's a part of your messaging, and you got to
yeah.
communicate that.
and even at this point, it's a lie. So, but we still believe that you can get
But
your
no,
way at
so
Burger
so check
King.
this out. That is so funny because I sometimes I tell my customers, I'm not customers, I tell my clients, I'm sorry. Sometimes you have to that's the part that speak to those things that are not as though they were. So I understand right now you might not, but you got to say that thing and really believe whatever that thing is that you say that you are. You got to really believe it. That's the reason why my strategy is more on the lines of affirming strategy, because nowadays I'm starting to realize that people don't even believe who they say they are no more.
Yeah,
And I'm like, if
yeah,
you don't believe that you are XYZ, how's the client, how's the customer going to believe that if you don't believe it? So
yeah,
I try to create this whole affirming culture, whether it's my blogs or whether I'm coaching or whether I'm doing some type of one-on-one session, is to make sure that I'm affirming in them. So you the one that told me that you are this. Now we got to say it every time, and you got to believe it. And once you really believe it, then you got to share that message.
oh, I think you just solved imposter syndrome. I think a lot of the reason why that happens is because people don't actually believe in their ability, and they say it, but they don't really,
No,
that you don't stand behind it. And I sure don't believe you because I see right through you. So I think that
right.
is a lot of that. A lot of people not feeling like they're enough, or accept, whatever, it's their own beliefs. Like, for instance, I'm gonna give you
Absolutely.
this. Just right now. I said, "Oh, this is just on my Facebook." You said, "No, this is a big platform." You right. That
It
helps you.
is.
The affirmation helps you to align with, even if you don't see
Yeah.
it, other people might
Yeah.
see that for you, and you might,
Abs-
you have to follow suit. So I think that's good. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know what else. I think that no, because you really nailed it on the head about branding, and about how that really does form how we're viewed in people's minds to this point. As I want to acknowledge it, but I want to acknowledge that the details do matter. Clinton's room is purple, okay, to match my branding. I think that's the thing. I love when people do that, because that means they're paying attention to the details. And I think that those
Absolutely.
things do matter. That those things do matter. Oh, I will say that if you do have any questions, feel free to ask them, and we'll post them. Anna says, when should you brand? From the beginning. Branding starts from inception.
From
From
the very
inception of
beginning.
idea. Yeah.
Yeah. Again, and this goes back to, I want to make sure that we highlight something that you said. It branding ain't about, I'm sorry, it's not only about the visual part. So you got
You
to
can say
start
ain't.
the branding before you listen. If you preaching, you got to if there's a style in which you're presenting your messages, and even how you're even intaking bookings, like, you have to set a standard for what's going on in your ministry or your business. I don't care what it is. This is before the logo is built. This is before the website is built. This is before the business cards and all that kind of stuff. You need to start this, even your attitude, because a lot of us, we don't realize that our attitude and our customer service sucks. All of this is branding. You got to fit. You got to work on that as well as build a logo. And right now, if you're not, like I said, if you're preaching, and I'm using Anna as an example because I know she's a preacher, and I do believe that she's going to start a church, her and her husband. I do believe that. But I feel like
Amen.
right now, y'all, if it ain't, while it ain't, manifested yet, you guys still need to be working towards building that brand before you build the logo and before you build your website.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
How do you reach people? How do you envision your community, the people that are
Yeah,
connected to you at on any platform and in any way? What is the conversation being had? It's going to be a one
absolutely.
way, outside of course, like engagement, but it's going to be a one-way conversation. So how do you create that? How do you develop that? What is the voice that's how you develop brand voice? Like, how am I speaking? Like, for instance, he corrected himself saying ain't. You can say ain't. I want you to be who you are. So I
Absolutely.
I'm of the mindset that the more, and this is even an experience for myself, the more I have been myself, the more opportunity has availed itself to me, because I don't,
Ah,
I'm not sticking, I'm not trying to be someone else. I'm being myself. I posted that the other day. I refuse to have the gifts and abilities God gave me to just be a great value somebody else. Like I
yeah.
don't, or the
You
next
know,
somebody else.
somebody who helped shift my mindset on that was actually Tabitha Brown. She was talking about her testimony, and she's out here in California as well. And she said for years she was trying to cover up her accent because she thought if she covered up her accent, she can get booked more and all that kind of stuff. And it resonated with me because I'm also out here in California, but I'm born and raised in North Carolina. And there became a point, and I want to say it was recently, maybe a year ago. I said, I don't care no more. I sound the way I sound. I talk the way I talk. I look the way I look, and it is gonna be what it's gonna be. If you
Yeah.
don't like it, you can move along. Once I really settled, like I said, a lot of this has to do with that imposter situation because we don't feel like we are good enough, and we don't feel like whatever it is that we're bringing to the table, whatever service or whatever product, we really do not believe that thing is good enough. But I'm here to tell everybody it doesn't matter. Clinton with his country self. I got a little list, everything. I'm just as good as the next, and I'm very knowledgeable, and I'm a studied designer. So let me say that this I ain't talking from a perspective of someone, and I'm not better than anybody, but you got to know that this part of my life, the branding and the graphic design, I never thought of it as a side hustle. It's always been my career. It's always been a career choice. That's why I say I'm a study designer because I intentionally went to school to study to be this. So this my perspective comes from a place of this is real, and I believe that these are the things that are going to help you grow in your business and your ministry. So
Yes, absolutely. Come on. See, we getting snippets. Leandro asked, well, first, Miss Anna asked, how do you create a logo? You call Quentin or
mm.
Clinton. Sorry, you call Clinton, or you call me, but you call Clinton, or you reach out to him and at his social media, and you go from there. I feel like, and I think that people wince a little bit when I say this, but Canva, etc. If you're not a designer, use Canva, etc. to scale, to multiply your collateral, your
Yeah,
flyers,
yeah,
etc. If you don't have the money, or if you don't have a continuous budget for a retainer to retain a designer,
yeah,
have them create blanks for you. Have them create
yeah.
what your brand looks like, give you all the fonts, and in Canva now they have where you can set up brand kits and
Yes,
have all your fonts, your colors, etc., and have a designer do that for you so that they can create a unique identity for you. And you're gonna have somebody at a higher level like a Clinton or myself. Look, I'm gonna keep pushing my you go Clinton or myself
yeah,
that is gonna give you strategy behind all of that. I don't know. I want to keep reiterating in this conversation that the look of the brand is the last thing that happens, and it should be just like when you make a person.
Woo!
The last thing that comes on, the last thing you put on a baby is clothes. They don't come out with clothes on.
Mm-hmm,
They do come out with a
mm-hmm.
personality. They cry, so there is a voice. There all of those things are given when you have gone through the process of creating a human life, right? And so if your business, if your artistry is the personification of that, creating a person, if you will, then the
Yes,
last thing you put on is your clothes. And so that
yep.
part is important to know, because that I think that'll save people a lot of money too. In that
Mm,
you won't be making 9 logos. You won't be doing all of that stuff because you have an idea. So which that goes to asking Leandro's question is, can your brand evolve as you mature in your craft? Absolutely. I believe absolutely.
yeah.
Um, and I think that it does show eventually, like for instance, a Coca-Cola, very little alterations to their logo, but down through the years they've made
Mm-hmm.
several, alterations, several different taglines, etc. McDonald's, who knows what McDonald's tagline was before I'm loving it? I don't even know. Have you had your Mac today? I know that was one of them. But you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yes, I absolutely believe that that can happen, and you can as you mature in your craft. Oh, I'm gonna give you a perfect example of a brand who has almost completely rebranded. Andre 3000. Andre 3000 was a
Facts.
rapper,
Facts.
right? Hip hop rapper.
A
He has
rapper's
turned into this
rapper.
kind of, yeah, he's kind of turned into this like urban yogi, right? That um he's a musician now, like he plays his flute, you know, to whatever standard you like or don't like. But
Hmm.
he's a flout. Is it, you say flautist? He plays the flute now, and he just came out with a piano. Like he's just sketching on the piano. But guess what? He probably got thousands of streams, even with this new
He
rebranded
did.
person. He's gone on tour. You can see even with him, he's happier. So his version of who he is now and what we maybe as consumers desire are two different things. But
Hmm.
it's only
Yeah.
you have to respect the fact that he is not that person anymore, and that would be inauthentic
Yeah.
to him to try to force something he's not. Or you have
Yeah.
people like, and this is a crazy example. You have a thing like if you've ever seen Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs, you have the
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you have the baby. He was a baby, but now he's grown and he goes around the city with his diaper on because he hasn't outgrown what made him famous.
Yeah.
Or he chooses to he refuses to up level. This is a grown man in a diaper and sucking his thumb because he's holding on to old
Yeah.
glory. So absolutely your brand needs to evolve as you age and as you mature or do various things in
Yeah.
life. It better do that. Like otherwise you're gonna be
Yeah.
50 in a diaper and not the depends kind.
Right.
The huggies.
Right. Right. That's
Thank
that
you.
whole part I was saying. Because there's a difference between, I want to say, evolving with time and then compromising who you are. There's a way to evolve through time because we use music a lot because both you and I are music heads. Music shift, it changes. Time, gospel music don't sound the same that it did in the 70s, that it does in the 90s. That's just the 20-year gap. And it don't
Yeah.
sound the same, even with the 80s and the 90s. And then in the 90s going into the early 2000s, the gospel music, music shifts. And I said, there are plenty of artists whom I know. Kirk Franklin was a good example. He was shifting right along with the times. CC Winans, she was shifting right along with the times. You talk about mainstream, who was like Mariah Carey was shifting right along with the times. Whitney
Yeah.
Houston, I feel like she was shifting right. There's certain artists that I grew up with during my time. They were shifting. Michael Jackson was shifting right through the times. Oh, who's another one? That's Usher shifting
Yeah.
right through the time. I feel like they
Yeah.
were they were able to they didn't compromise. Usher never compromised being an R&B artist, but that
Yeah.
music did shift from the night
Yeah.
when he was young and he was super young until he became a grown man. That music did shift, and vocally he was changing vocally. Still sounding amazing. Chris Brown's another one. I just feel like they never compromised. Oh, even Tank is a Tank is, to me,
He's fire.
early Tank and now Tank is two different artists.
Yeah.
But he's still an R&B artist at his heart. You know what I'm saying? But he was able to evolve, and I think you have to
Yes.
evolve if you want to continue doing whatever it is that you're doing.
And like you said, and just to reiterate, do not compromise, meaning you're not just trying to stay with the times, because you can tell that that's
Yeah,
inauthentic too. Yeah, Stevie Wonder
yeah,
is classically himself. He's gonna be Stevie from his sound has changed also down with the times. But
yep.
the thing about him is he's still Stevie. I was telling somebody,
Stevie, yes.
yeah, I was telling somebody you can listen to "I Can't Help It" by Michael Jackson and not even know. All these years, I didn't know, right, that Stevie Wonder wrote that song. When I found out he wrote it, then all of a sudden, all I
Oh
hear is
wow.
Stevie Wonder, right? It's like that
Yeah,
makes
it
perfect
could not
sense.
say. Yeah,
So I'm the mindset that he didn't change himself. His fingerprint, his hand on it is easily identified once that's who that is. Some stuff, you just know it's Stevie. But like for instance, tell me something good, you could tell that's Stevie Wonder. You know what I mean? Like, but
Yeah.
that's his hand on this person's. That's a question I have for you too. I'm gonna get back to. That's his hand on this person's artistry. That is not him. It's not him, but it is definitely his influence on it. So my question to you,
Hmm.
Clinton,
Hmm.
is, and my son actually had this question for me, but I want to ask you because I noticed with you, your style is your style. I can tell
Yeah.
most of the time I could tell a Clinton flyer, a Clinton's website
Hmm.
from someone else, but it is also completely not, because I've seen like the t-shirt brand website you did for your wife. I saw the
Hmm.
website you did for your mom in love with her etiquette uh, course. Two different. These are
Hmm.
mother and daughter, literally your style, but two different completely
Hmm.
approaches to these people. And I want to know, how do you do that in a way that it's still you. I still could tell it's Clinton, but it's one is this person, and I literally know that it's easily identifiable, but it's also
Hmm.
some I can still come relate to the root, and it doesn't look like just template like the same thing you gonna
Yeah.
always see with Clinton.
Yeah.
How do you in your mind, how's your
I
thought
would.
process for that?
Well, I will say this: a lot of that has to do with my intake process. So you have to fill out my questionnaire if you want to move
Mm-hmm.
forward with me. And and those there's questions in there that annoy some of my clients sometimes because I want them to think, well, you need to tell me your brand message. I need to know that now before I build this website because you came to me already with, for example, you already came with your logo. You already have you're knee deep in ministry already, and you need this website done. Well, I need you to be able to articulate to me what your brand message is, what your brand values are, all that kind of stuff. I need you to tell me what your colors are. You're going to tell me this stuff because I'm not going to figure it out. We're not
Yeah.
when I'm not going. I've been doing this too long. I'm not going to figure it out. You are going to do the homework and you're going to put in the effort so that I can be the best designer that I can be. Now, that's one side of the coin. The other side is Clinton has certain designs values that
Mm-hmm.
I don't compromise on. There's just
Mm-hmm.
I'm not doing that. I'm not going to. I remember one time, this is another designer. I'm like, how do you get your clients to always send like? Well, I asked them, how do you always posting artwork with these high resolution photos? They said they had to make up in their mind, either you're going to send me high resolution photos or I'm not going to do the work, and you're going to
Yeah.
lose your deposit.
Yeah.
Because so now all the people that come to this particular designer, they know I better come with my A game, or I'm not going to be able to work with him.
Yeah.
Or
And
because
I think
and there are other ladies that are doing the exact same thing. There's certain design standards that I have now that I hold fast to. So you're going to see certain design aesthetics uh, where they might not be because they're consistent across the board, whether it's my website, whether it's somebody else's website. There's certain things that I feel like have to be on a website. They have to be in a certain place on the website. That's where you start seeing this consistency at these different websites. No, you got to have
mhm.
this. There is no, we're not doing that. No, you got to have that. I can't build you a website and it's not functional the way it needs to function. What's the point of having a website if you're not capturing people's emails? What are you doing? Why have the website at this point?
Mhm.
Like, what are we doing? It's a lot. It's different stuff like that. So you're going to see people being able to capture emails. You're going to see the footers. There's certain things that I just do that across the board with everybody's website. That's going to happen. Stylistically, though, clients are able to control that because I try to allow them to be creative director up front, if you will, through my
Yeah.
intake process. Long story short,
Ano-
yeah.
no, that's great. I was going to say that's another point to making sure you have all of your brand voice, all of that stuff. Now, he could probably consult you to have that if you don't have it at all. I say even go to a branding consultant to get that done. And then
Hmm.
here's another part. that we don't discuss. There are not many designers that are branding specialists or
Right.
brand specialists. There's not many of
Right.
us. So you
No.
lucky to get someone that is a designer and can help you visualize that. But these, like, if you have a branding specialist help you craft all of your brand voice, etc., and someone who can design it, that's a bonus. So I would say
Absolutely.
don't go to someone that can help you from scratch to conception about your idea,
Yeah.
right? Uh, I think that helps that will help you best. And then the right designer, which I know you are, the right person will give you a brand guide. So you'll have things like that for um, Clinton or
Absolutely.
or someone like myself to work with. But that's the thing is, like I said, a lot of people think they're going for branding and they're just getting logos and icons
Hmm.
and things like that, which is a part of it. Yes, he says explain the difference. I'm thinking you're saying explain the difference between a brand specialist and I'm not quite sure.
A graphic designer.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he means the graphic designer and the branding consultant part.
yeah,
What
right.
what's the yeah.
I'll say this: a graphic designer never has to tell you about your brand voice, about your positioning statement, about your target audience, anything like that. They don't. There could be a whole creative agency where there's designers that don't do anything like that, but they just execute what the creative director has given or the art director is
Yeah.
explained to them in a brief. But a brand strategist is going to take you from, oh, I got an idea, I want to sell root beer floats, I want to sell purple root beer floats. They're going to help you figure out who that audience is that's going to want a purple root beer float, and is it the ice cream or the root beer that purple, like down to that kind of stuff. They're going to help you with getting your idea solid and getting you clear on what that is. So then you know who you're talking to, how you're talking to them, when you're talking to them, and that kind of delves more into marketing. But I think that a brand strategist is someone that's going to help you develop the idea around the concept around your idea, and then help you visualize it if they're designers. A designer is just
Yeah.
going to
Yeah.
design. Because
Yeah.
for many years I was just a graphic designer. I got
Me too.
into I
Yes.
got interested in brand strat when I realized I'm doing my clients a disservice when all I'm giving them is a logo, or I'm just making some stuff up.
Yeah.
I, and it's not true to their real message, or it's just something to kind of get them by. That is why if you have done this, if you have at any point tried to put out a business, if you have rebranded several times, it's because there was not clarity on fundamental things. And a lot of it
Yeah.
is a lot of it comes from not even knowing, honestly. Sometimes you just don't know. Some of it
Yeah.
does come, if I'm honest with you. A rebrand is not a bad thing. It's just sometimes it comes with trial and error. Like, okay, well, I thought this is who I was, but it's not. Or I thought this is how I wanted to speak to an audience, but they were like, that's stupid. I'm gonna give you an example. If you guys see or look up Jaguar, we had a conversation. This is an ongoing thing in my favorite secret group of designers, which Clint is a member. We're not the Illuminati, I promise. Uh, uh, in a secret group of
Oh
design,
no, we might be.
in our
No.
no. I don't know where our time would be.
That's so crazy. I love
But in
Jesus
our
and He loves me.
amen, straight up and down. Okay. I in our group we had a good discussion about Jaguar, the car company's new rebrand, and I personally liked it. I personally liked it because I read their brief. I read what they were trying to pitch. I went to the website. The average person's not going to do that. So a lot of the conversation was, why did they do that? That's stupid. It's not going to relate. Da, 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 da. They never had to do that.
Mm,
But it's because they were trying to completely position themselves in the mind of a whole new age group that's probably going to take them from the next 20 or 30 years. I really feel like that is something to keep in mind. If your client right now is 17, in 10 years she's not going to be 17. So if you're trying to
come on.
a lifestyle, or be a part of their lifestyle, how do you evolve to meet that person at 17, or to where she can pass it down to the next 17-year-old, or whatever. There's got to be thought for the future, not just for right now, because that is
Hmm.
that. And
Yeah.
I'm gonna say it like this, and I know everybody on here ain't black, but that's a lot of the problem in black business is we are hustle minded. We're transaction based.
Okay, so
Okay.
hold. That's the reason why I want. That's the reason why I said what I said earlier about I wanted people to understand my position. I'm a study designer because a lot of black designers, they put the graphic design and the branding thing as a side hustle, so they treat it like a side hustle. And
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's the reason why customers and the reason why clients and reason why their audience, they treat it like a side hustle, and they don't have the type of respect that they need to have for branding. They don't consider branding serious, because I feel like it's kind of self-induced, something that we did, what we did in our industry, where we always kept that part of our business, and even the design part, it's always been side hustle mentality. No, this is a career, and if you make it important, and you tell people this is valuable, you have to
Yeah.
have this, you have to do this, then I feel like more people would be receptive to taking it a lot serious, because I feel like I feel like a lot of what we deal with dealing with clients, they don't see branding past logo. They don't see it past the logo, because I thought we did it to ourselves
Yeah, we did.
in our
We
community.
All I gotta do is put
Yeah.
up a website, a logo, and that's it, and I can just go. Your mind is
Yeah.
on. I gotta hurry up before
Yeah.
someone else steals my idea. I gotta
It's
hurry up
hustle mode.
before. Guess what? Somebody's already doing it. If you're wanting
Yes.
to put out a car wash, there's already a car wash, guys. It's already there.
Yes.
Real quick, a side note. I just tagged. Hopefully he'll get on, but I just tagged Miss Anna. Put a church in Dallas, the Potter's House North, just rebranded to the Bridge. Well, we know the person that just did
Yes.
that, and so
Yes, we do.
yeah. So I was hoping to see that. I was hoping that he can maybe type in his process if he did ask for consultation with them. They rebranded because they are detaching from the Potter's House brand and just being their own church, their own entity. But
Yeah.
he's the one that actually did the branding for him. So oh, okay, and oh, she
I was
said
about to
she
say,
knows.
I think Anna knows him. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm sorry, but yeah, I maybe he can. He is very much so. Oh, y'all know the people, okay? But you know what I
Oh
mean?
yeah.
Like
Well,
that.
now them two. Now, I would say them two. They know, because they Anna, she was trained under what's her name? What's the lady that's over the church bridge?
Uh, I know
Shell
you're talking
Brady.
about.
She's under she was under Shell Brady for a little bit. So
Oh,
they're very familiar
so she's
with her,
like,
and
why
they're
you
very
telling me something
familiar.
I already know? I'm sorry. Look.
Yeah, yeah, no, and they know Joseph for sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's one. It was Chris Coley said he did their new. Was it him or was it Joseph? It was Joseph.
Coley actually did the logo.
Yeah, the
But I know
new.
Joseph was a part of that whole. Yeah, Joseph was a part of that whole uh, piece. Yeah,
Indeed,
he was a
that's
part of
Mr.
the whole
Joseph.
situation. Yeah,
That's Mr. Joseph Anthony, a phenomenal singer himself, and he is responsible for the frames that y'all see on the obituary. A lot of that I'm gonna say it's him. Okay, I always give him his credit. But she said Cheryl Brady is the greatest preacher on earth. Agreed. She's one of them for sure. But so we are actually
facts. She
overtime
was.
because we was running our mouth. Okay, which is good though. I think this has been an
Yeah.
amazing interview. I knew it was gonna be exactly like this. And so I do have a few questions that I ask. This is my segments every week.
Okay.
My first one is that's dope. And that's dope
Okay.
is a brand, a person, something that you want to acknowledge as dope. An artist, whatever.
Okay. Okay. Um. I'm gonna do two because I'm a graphic artist and I'm a singer too. So somebody
Okay.
that's dope right now, you guys. Samara Joy.
Oh
I'm
yes.
in love. I'm in love with her whole brand. Her music speaks for itself, and her voice speaks for itself. But I love how her team, how they packaged her up and they presented her to us. Um,
Yes.
she gives me nostalgia, but she gives me 2025. Um,
Yes.
she's to me she's the epitome of if you're gonna be in that lane, that's what you gotta do. And as far as artists are concerned, I just feel like she's amazing. Graphic designer, there's a designer called what's the guy? Trace Seals, I think it's his name. He's the one that creates fonts. So you have seen his stuff. He did the uh, Kamala Harris for president. He's worked for
Oh
Spike
yeah.
Lee. He's
Oh
worked with
yeah. Yeah.
Stacey Abrams. So he creates fonts. I'm very intrigued with typographers, and he's at the top of my list as far as young black creative. He's amazing. So Trey Seals,
So he did
very
her.
dope.
He did her last couple campaigns. Her
Kamala,
presidential
yeah, Kamala
campaigns. Yeah,
Harris,
I
Stacey
definitely follow
Abrams,
him.
Netflix. Yeah. He does a lot that deals with like historical, like black historical stuff. So it's very uh, you know, for us by us type.
I'm
He's
feeling.
amazing.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. And so with that, and people kind of cringe at this one, but no, I needed you to be honest. The next one is Nope. And Nope is simply something that people do or a
Hmm.
group that you acknowledge as not getting it right. And it's okay.
Okay.
Call
Well, I'm
people
gonna
and it's all
say,
right.
no, I'm not good. I'm gonna do this, but I will say this because I made mention of it actually in the beginning. So it's fine. Um, it's I feel like there's a whole overall issue with entrepreneurs and artists. We're focusing a lot on the wrong things, and I say this with all sincerity. Like we have to. There's too much noise on the internet right now, and we're not focusing enough on our own sauce, our own greatness. I call it your own genius. That's actually what I label it as, your genius. I really want us to focus in on what makes your whatever amazing and stop worrying about so much. Worry about it, but like you said, it's the brand. We broke branding down into 5 different areas. That last area is the visual part. That's the part where you put on your clothes. That's last. We got to worry about these other 4 areas. We got to focus on what's making you unique and keep working um, at that. And I feel like almost a lot of people on the internet, a lot of people that I see, we're getting it wrong. And I
Yeah.
just want us to get it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because content's not going anywhere. If you're afraid to put your stuff out because
Yeah.
it's too many people, what you need to do is niche down or get clear about how you
Yeah.
present yourself. Because content's not going on,
Yeah.
it's not going nowhere. And especially as
And you guys stand
monetization is
10 toes down.
yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. I just whatever that is, please be your authentic self, but stand 10 toes down on whatever that thing is, and don't let people and cult. You want to influence culture. I don't think you want culture to. I
Influence
don't
you.
think you want to go the other way around. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Yeah. Especially much as it changes like the weather. So, one day we love
Yeah.
somebody, the next day that person can say something crazy on Instagram and we hate them and this burn them at the stake. So I would not lean on moving with there. I guess this is what we want to say. There is a science and an art to moving with the times. There is.
Yeah.
You do it in a way that is authentically you, but not in a way that
Yeah.
you become stagnant and stale, but also not in a way that you're just conforming to whatever is the latest trend. Because
Whatever.
yeah,
Yeah.
it would be like Grandmaster Flash or somebody trying to do some new rap. Like, no, that's not you. You
Yeah.
stay here and we'll, like stay in this vibe, but move up in the time. There's always a way.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, going back to Tank, I watch R&B Money. I love R&B Money. I'm a fan. I hope one day
Me
that
too.
they'll
I'm like,
publish it.
Yes,
Okay,
that's one
are
of
we
my favorite
arguing?
podcasts.
Yes. I sing all the songs, all of it. So
Yes, me too.
so when he was saying, he was talking to someone and said, now the new kids, the kids are putting in samples. He said, I'm gonna get ahead of the game. I'm gonna sample myself. He said, I got hits that was songs that were hits 20 years ago. I'm gonna sample myself before they can even get to it. So you gonna hear me, the old me, and you'll hear the new version of how I am too. And I was like, that is so genius to
Genius.
use
Yes,
like if Kirk Franklin was to do something like that. Oh my goodness! Like, could you imagine?
it would be fire.
Yeah. So that way, it's still your fingerprint using you for you. So I think
Yep.
that's a perfect example of staying with the time because you're still on trend, but it's authentically you. Okay.
Yeah.
And so my final segment is give me a person, a song, anything that you want to put us onto. Out and yourself, but any projects or anything that you want to tell us about, anything releasing or upcoming.
Well, I would say this. I'm gonna put somebody else on because I'm definitely all about sewing. I'm just in that space right now. So there's an artist called Tanika Wyatt. She was on The Voice. She's actually a
Mm-hmm.
client of mine. She's from San Diego. Actually, she's actually from LA, but she was in San Diego for a long period of time. Long story short, she got into the top 20. Amazing vocalist, and she's a Christian artist, and she's doing a live recording. If you could look her up, she's doing amazing stuff. Um, she has an amazing voice, and I feel like she's perfect for this time. There is also a graphic artist. Her name is Jerica Marie. She is setting the trend right now.
Yes.
And I feel like she's the next wave right now. And she's a little she's amazing. And I just want you guys to go Jerica Marie, another graphic
Yes.
artist who I feel like is leading the way with these creative shows and stuff like that. So follow her as well because her content is always amazing. So
Yes, it is. She does a great job. Um, both of those ladies are awesome, actually, and so those are
yeah.
perfect put-ons. Thank you. Well, okay. Thank you so much, Clinton, for this awesome interview.
Absolutely.
Like I said, I knew it was going to be exactly what it was. Amazing, great conversation, and some laughs because we be cutting up. But um, and I thank you, audience, for asking questions and participating with us. Tune in next week where my guest will be digital marketing specialist and owner of the AI employee agency, Mr. Julius Osborne. This is someone I've known most of my life that until recently I hadn't realized how much of a genius he truly was. And he in the digital marketing field, like so now you built your brand, it's time to market now. And this is the person that you want to hear. He's going to give you the numbers. He's going to give you all that good analytic stuff. And so tune in to next week, 7 p.m. PST, same time, same place. And I will love to speak to you and see you then. Okay. All right. Bye.